Cascade Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of North Central Washington is the greatest place to start your Sunday mornings. I'm Hideo Fujita. I am your celebrant this morning. Chris Rader is our speaker. Whether you're joining us in person or online, we're delighted you are here with us today. The Cuff community embraces every person with open arms, just as you are, no matter what your background, your beliefs, who you love, or what path you're walking. You are truly welcome in this space. Whether you're here in our fellowship hall or connecting with us virtually, we invite everyone to stay for coffee and treats and conversation after the service. The preparation and delivery of the Sunday service takes a community. In your order of service, please find the list of volunteers who are assisting us with this morning's service. Those on Zoom, you will find the order of service and song lyrics in the Zoom team chat. This morning, July 20th, 2025, the theme of our service is Shared Values. Chris Rader has prepared a wonderful presentation. During the time for all ages, we will also present Sinatra's story. Those in the sanctuary, would you please turn around and wave? There's a camera right above the exit sign to the people on Zoom. And now please take a moment and welcome and say hello to your neighbors sitting around you. I have three announcements. One, there's a circle supper coming up Saturday, July 26, 4:30 p.m. at Ken and Dana Tave's home. The second one is Petra, our administrator, is updating the Cuff directory, and she will take any changes you may have up until Tuesday. And the third one is a big thank you to Diane McKenzie and all of the volunteers for your diligence in cleaning the pathways to our garden. It is estimated there will be over 40 truckloads of stuff they're going to be clearing out to get that pathway cleared. So please refer to your this week's Cuffs newsletter for additional information. We gather here today on the ancestral lands of the Pasquosa people, the original inhabitants of this region. For thousands of years, from the shores of Lake Wenatchee, along the Wenatchee River, across the Columbia River, the Pasquosa have been the thoughtful stewards of this sacred land. The First Nation people have thrived here, fishing, hunting, gathering medicinal plants and food, and honoring their rich cultural traditions since time immemorial. The Pasquosa, now an integral part of the Colville Reservation and the Confederated Tribes, continue to live here and carry their heritage in this very place. We recognize the solemn respect that this land was taken through broken treaty obligations and the subsequent settlement of uninvited colonists. As a community, we stand in solidarity with our indigenous neighbors as they continue to uphold their traditions and advocate for a full recognition of their inherent rights. We encourage you to learn more about the Pasquosa and their enduring legacy on our website, cascadeuu.org. And now for our opening congregational song. Please rise in body and or spirit for our opening song, hymn number 347, Gather the Spirit, and the lyrics will appear also on the screens in front. We light this chalice today as symbol of the Unitarian Universalist faith. In doing so, we kindle the flame of resilience within ourselves and our community. May its warmth remind us of our enduring spirits, our capacity for renewal, and our interconnected strength in the face of life's challenges. And, okay, and please
join in reading the words on the
some
screen.
yes. Okay. Yesterday, our discontent ancestors gathered around the flame to share our stories and find comfort.
Tomorrow, our descendants will gather around the flame, talking of a life we will never know. But today, it is we who gather here around this flame, seeking, believing, and being together.
You may have noticed that there's somebody else up here. There's a furry four-legged creature standing right next to me. He's my live prop this morning. Our Time for All Ages story is Sinatra's story. I wrote and illustrated part of this and used with the help of some AI tools. The illustrations will be displayed on the screens. Sinatra's story begins as a guide dog puppy in training and leads him through the journey to becoming a community therapy dog. What's the first thing a proud parent does? Any guesses? Pictures, right? Puppy pictures specifically. Here's Sinatra right after Stephanie and I picked him up at SeaTac at the Alaska Air Cargo in the spring of 2020. Here he is, 8.5 weeks old. Sinatra started his training as a guide dog puppy in training. Here's Puppy's first picture modeling his Guide Dog for the Blind vest. Sinatra's early training included paw pads, a training tool to learn how to stay in place with the basic foundation positions of sitting, lying down, and standing. The following story is a true enactment of the life of this golden retriever, Sinatra. To protect the anonymity of those in the story, the faces of those in the story have been changed. As a puppy raiser is responsible for raising, training, socializing, and caring for the puppy. Teaming up the puppy with a well-trained adult dog speeds up the training. Teaming up the puppy with a well-trained adult dog, such as a mentor or a teacher. Dogs are great. Puppies respect and trust and show the willingness to work when teamed up with an adult dog. A teacher dog is honest, compassionate, and knows how to help puppies. The biggest challenge came all of a sudden. The COVID-19 pandemic arrived with rage. Sinatra didn't understand masks. The first time I put on a mask, Sinatra said, "There's something on your face, I gotta take it off." He kept jumping up on me trying to pull that mask off my face. During the pandemic's shutdown, Sinatra grew up. All of his training continued. However, he was severely limited in where he can go in the public. We were concerned about how much that would affect his socialization skills. To become a guide dog, a certified guide dog for someone who cannot see well or cannot see at all, you need a very special dog. A guide dog is responsible for the life of the person they guide. I'll talk about one incredible skill that guide dogs have. It's called intelligent disobedience. Here's an example. Let's take the scene. A Metro bus stops at a bus stop at an intersection. A woman with her guide dog exits the bus, walks in front of the bus to cross the street at the crosswalk. She gives her guide the command, "Cross." The guide dog starts leading her in front of the bus on the crosswalk. All of a sudden, that guide dog stops, reverses, pulls his partner backwards, jerking her back. Just as she does this, an impatient driver who is behind a bus is zooming around the bus, crossing the crosswalk right in front of her. That's what intelligent disobedience is. A side note, if you are interested, The Pick of the Litter, a wonderful Disney documentary about a litter of 5 Labrador puppies, go through the basic guide dog puppy and training program. And a spoiler alert, less than 50% of those puppies ever achieve going to guide dog college. The good, the bad, and the beautiful of Sinatra. Final exam. The bad, Sinatra did not make the final cut. He was not the pick of the litter. Because he does not settle well, as you can see, and he can be fearful of unknown settings, he failed his final exam. When a guide dog puppy in training fails the final exam, the puppy is labeled career change. The good. Sinatra is a wonderful, handsome, intelligent dog. The beautiful part of this is that there's a silver lining in the pandemic. For Stephanie and I, when the pandemic times hit, Sinatra would have been usually transferred to another service dog organization. But during the pandemic, all of these organizations were shut down. Guide dogs gave us the first option for adoption. Duh. After adopting Sinatra, he was natural to get his Canine Good Citizen certificate and also therapy dog certificate through the Wenatchee Kennel Club. Now he has 2 full-time jobs in the community. Each week, Sinatra, the furry friend of the North Central Washington Library System, goes to the Eastmont branch where he has children's story time. Sinatra has quickly become the star attraction at story time. Sinatra's other job is supporting the residents at the CL Senior Assisted Living Memory Care Unit. Sinatra's compassion and empathy for these residents is so powerful. It is unbelievable to see him go into this facility, and there are some individuals who have not spoken to anybody in months will always talk to Sinatra. Sinatra's journey from a guide dog puppy in training to a certified therapy dog has been remarkable. He is honest, he is kind, compassionate, and most of all, embodies the spirit and support and love and respect we exhibit here in our fellowship. The end. And now we move on to a very important, sharing and honoring portion of our facility.
Singing the children.
Oh.
Okay.
We do this all the time. Now for the children.
We have 2 children.
Yes.
If you'd like to come, and the people on the aisle, will you form an arch? And you guys can go right under the arch as we sing a little song.
With each other to find meaning in the spirit of love that we share.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Thank you. Great. Other to find meaning in the spirit of love that we share. Find meaning in the spirit of love that we share. And now is the time in our service when we get to hear from one another, to share things that have recently happened that have meaning for us, to honor life events that impact us in a deep personal way. It's not a time for political statements or advertising, but a time of reverence. Please keep your remarks short. You're now welcome to come up, tell us your name, place a stone in the bowl, and share.
A few words of wisdom before our sermon. How Good People Make Tough Choices by Rushworth Kidder. Codes of Ethics provides us with shared reference points. They also give us small beacons of certainty in troubled world, allowing us to dismiss issues that might grow into agonizing dilemmas. That's why sports referees typically require clear out-of-bounds lines on courts and athletic fields rather than simply putting a crushed shirt in a corner for a marker. It is not because they're self-righteous perfectionists, although some of them are. It's because they want to prevent the bigger issues of playing the game and moving forward with the conclusion from getting overwhelmed in a mass of petty squabbles about whose foot was where. If the code of ethics is in operation, a good deal of energy once given to such debates can now be released for productive work. And this one from Ram Dass. Compassion is the basis of all truthful relationship. It means being present with love for ourselves and for all of life. Suffering exists, pain exists, cruelty and injustice exist. We can't deny that. We can't eliminate it all, no matter how hard we try. What we can do is bring truth and loving kindness into each situation in which we find ourselves. We use suffering as an opportunity for expressing love. When others are suffering, we can't always make them happy, no matter how much we want to, but we can create an environment in which wholesome choices are more likely, and we can support one another in our attempts toward more fulfilling lives. What we can give one another is support, from tender care to temporary fulfillment of basic human needs. And now our main speaker, Chris Rader, on shared values.
What is it that enables people to live cooperatively? How, over thousands of years, have we all managed to get along with one another without trampling over or killing each other? Charles Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest seems to indicate that people should just be out for themselves, clawing their way to the top at the expense of others. How is it then that we've created harmonious communities with people all working together? I could go into the history of early humans finding that it was more effective to hunt big game together and to live in groups for protection. But this isn't a history lesson. It's a look at what helps people live in harmony and choose right behavior over wrong. The words ethics or moral values signify society's accepted principles of right conduct, of healthy ways to behave, of beliefs that help individuals distinguish between right and wrong. These are qualities that help people get along together in communities. Today we're going to investigate some of these moral values or ethics that are virtually universal, that most everybody can agree on. Back in the olden days, children often learned about morality in Sunday school. Most Americans attended church services and were reminded by their pastors of things like, be kind, don't steal, help your neighbor. These days, not as many people attend church, but they still come up with codes of ethics of right and wrong. These concepts aren't exclusively Christian or Jewish or Muslim. They're universal. Of course, children learn from their parents. Sometimes they learn moral values by their mistakes. Taking a cookie when they've been told not to can result in punishment. Sharing toys nicely with their playmates can result in praise, which reinforces generous behavior. They also hear about these values in kindergarten and hopefully throughout their school years. But families are the key source of communicating what's right and wrong, helping kids develop a conscience. The French philosopher Voltaire wrote a line that I encountered back in high school. It's kind of clever but cynical. He said, "Conscience is not the voice of God, it's the fear of the police." Conscience is not the voice of God, it's fear of the police. Unfortunately, there's some truth to that. People sometimes choose ethical behavior because they don't want to be punished. But on the other hand, there are rewards for good behavior, namely being accepted, feeling loved and appreciated, being part of a harmonious community as opposed to an outcast or a criminal. And we've all experienced the happiness that comes from doing something nice to others. So ethical behavior for its own sake is a motivator. The Institute for Global Ethics has this definition of ethical fitness or good character: what you are in the dark when no one is looking. It is choosing right actions for goodness sake, not needing a reward. The Institute also repeats the 19th century Lord Moulton's definition of ethics: obedience to the unenforceable. But let's not get hung up on a definition of ethics. Most people already know what good is. They may not be able to provide a clear definition of the term, but they know it when they see it. Most of us live with concepts like a loving wife or a really good day without precisely defining them, but yet we recognize them. The Dalai Lama had some thoughts about ethical behavior and the Western concept of a conscience. He called it an inner voice urging restraint, or moral responsibility, and said it takes two forms: self-respect and consideration of others. Self-respect involves personal integrity, behaving in ways that don't make you ashamed, obedience to the unenforceable. Consideration of others leads to harmonious community, benefiting others through your actions and speech, such as offering encouragement, or, as the Buddhists say, mudita, or sympathetic joy at others' happiness. Conscience is when you look yourself in the mirror and know you did the right thing and feel good about yourself. The Dalai Lama offered 6 suggestions for moral practice: kindness, compassion, honesty, right action, forgiveness, and non-judgment. The Institute for Global Ethics agrees with these moral values, but puts forth its own list. Darius, could you put up the slide with that list? I'd say these qualities are universally agreed on as values that contribute to a harmonious society: honesty, kindness, compassion or empathy, fairness, respect, responsibility, peaceful resolution of conflict. Can any of us argue with any of these shared moral values? With these goals for behavior that help us all live in harmony? It's comforting to me to think about people all over the world agreeing on the importance of being honest. Not everybody is honest, unfortunately, but we agree that honesty is the best policy, that if everybody stole from each other, we'd have a pretty crummy community. And fairness. Sometimes our laws don't seem fair to everybody, such as recent U.S. legislation that cuts aid to the poor in order to provide tax breaks for the rich. But people everywhere agree that fairness is a goal. Fairness means impartial and just treatment, treating people equally or in the right way according to standards. Look how popular organized sports are. If people didn't agree on rules and fairness and boundaries, games would be chaotic and meaningless. Kindness is a big one, and it can be contagious. Do a kind deed or even just give a stranger a big smile and you lift their spirits, and they might then tend to be kind to someone else. Similar to kindness is compassion. Just look at all the people who respond to disasters affecting strangers. They look for survivors amid rubble. They share food and clothing with those that are suffering. People who lose their houses to hurricanes or wildfires or floods often experience an outpouring of love and support from neighbors and strangers alike, helping with housing and transportation while providing emotional support. There are lots of these stories out there. The old golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, is a good one to remember and to teach our kids and grandkids. I still have a little poster that our late compatriot Verna Zudermeister handed out years ago, showing versions of the golden rule in Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and the Baha'i faith. Hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful is the Buddhist wording. In Judaism, it's what is hateful to you, do not to your fellow man. That is the entire law. All the rest is commentary, etc. Remember the Boy Scout law? It's not a set of commands, doesn't say what scouts should do, but defines what they are. Trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. Who can argue with these? Millions of people agree with these and hold up these qualities as right behavior. Rotary International has a 4-way test of moral behavior: truthfulness, fairness, friendship, and being helpful to others. And of course, we Unitarian Universalists have 6 core shared values: justice, equity, interdependence, that's working together with others, generosity, transformation, and pluralism, that's supporting a diversity of opinions, beliefs, and practices. Those are posted on the wall right back there. Many corporations have codes of ethics that they expect their employees to observe. Here's an example of where the company's code and ethical behavior at the top really worked. Remember the Tylenol tampering case back in the 80s? Executives at Johnson & Johnson received the chilling report that several poisonings had been reported in the Chicago area that were linked to Tylenol capsules laced with cyanide. They knew they had to act fast. They also knew there was no real way to figure out if the capsules had been messed with by a disgruntled employee or by someone down the supply chain after the product had been shipped. Tylenol was a huge seller for Johnson & Johnson, bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars each year. But J&J leaders immediately took responsible action. They removed all forms of Tylenol, not just the capsules, from every shelf in every store. Then, in a public relations campaign to reassure customers, the company retooled its assembly lines and packaging to offer Tylenol in tamper-proof containers. It took 18 months, but the company did regain its market share, and Tylenol once again became a trusted product. A Harvard study showed that the company's code of ethics played a large role in this case. A report said, quote, "From an economic and public relations standpoint, one could have made a very reasonable argument for keeping the product on the shelves. The contamination was not the company's fault and wasn't proven to have originated from a J&J facility. This was an isolated incident, the result of aberrant behavior. The benefits of the product to the majority of the public vastly outweighed the injuries that might occur if the product remained on the shelves." Unquote. Johnson & Johnson's credo started with, "We believe our first responsibility is to the doctors, nurses, and patients, to mothers and fathers and all others who use our products and services." The company's leaders held to this standard. While stockholders' profit mattered, public safety mattered more. They did what they knew was right. It's somewhat sad to note that over the past 40 or 50 years, people seem to be less trustworthy. Virtually all pharmaceutical companies now offer their medicines in tamper-proof containers to protect the public from unscrupulous actors. We've all noticed the growing use of plastic packaging around small items in stores to deter shoplifters. When I was a kid, this wasn't an issue. You could walk down the aisle of a hardware store or Five and Dime and grab 1 or 2 items that were just sitting there loose on the shelves: a small wrench, a tube of lipstick, a little ball to go with your jacks game. Sadly, manufacturers now package these to make them too big to fit in a shoplifter's pocket. We could also focus pessimistically on the increase in uncivil talk we're seeing these days, much of it on social media. There's name-calling, contempt, bullying, and rudeness that we didn't used to see. And some of this speech incites violence. I know none of you engage in this kind of writing or talk. It's inspirational to see public figures such as Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, whose house was firebombed during a Jewish holiday by a man who hates Jews. Shapiro has often condemned political violence and emphasizes the importance of using moral clarity to combat such acts. He has highlighted the need for leaders to act ethically and bring people together rather than dividing them. After the arson fire in the governor's mansion, he and his family provided lunch for all the firefighters who responded. And he said, quote, "It is important to me to get people back into the residence quickly, to get visitors to come back, and to make sure that the building continues to be a place where people from all different walks of life are comfortable gathering," unquote. Shapiro chose to respond to an evil act in a positive way, not with vengeance or hatred, like some. Individually, we can't change some of the ways our society seems to be losing its moral compass, but we can choose to see the good around us and celebrate it. A few weeks ago, I was in an airport, and I was struck by how many people were taking care of others. Ticket agents helping distraught travelers, vendors feeding people coffee or food, people standing in the security line letting somebody who is about to miss his flight go ahead of them, strangers giving strangers directions or lifting heavy bags for them. It struck me that behind all of these little actions was love, empathy, compassion, friendliness, kindness. And don't you feel that the vast majority of people in the world are basically good? No matter they're loving, they're good, they're loving, they care about one another, no matter their politics or culture, they love their children, they celebrate holidays with joy, they cooperate with their neighbors, they go to work and do what they need to do, they generally obey laws and help each other in countless ways. Sometimes I get discouraged when I see our political leaders seeming to be motivated by money and power rather than trying to do or be good. I have to catch myself and realize I can't change everything in society, but I can look for the good around me, and I can also choose to behave morally myself. As all of us listen to our consciences and act with kindness, compassion, honesty, fairness, responsibility, and respect, we're putting that goodness out into the world. Our moral actions can radiate outward into families, schools, workplaces, communities, and nations. May it be so.
Now for a call for offering. The act of giving in all its forms is a profound and ancient spiritual practice. Its joyful expression of our happiness and thankfulness and generosity, reflecting the abundance we receive and the values we cherish. By joyfully sharing our financial gifts and our unique strength, we actively participate in building the beloved community we envision. A world rooted in justice, compassion, and peace for all. We now invite you to contribute to our shared mission in whatever way feels right for you. We will now receive the offering. Blessed by your generosity, may your gifts make a difference in our communities through the ministries of this church. Now please rise in body and or spirit for our closing congregational song, Our World is One World, hymn number 134 by Cicely Taylor.
May you be treated with kindness, respect, honesty, and compassion, and may you express these qualities to others.
And now we extinguish our chalice. Please join me in saying the words printed in your order of service or on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and embody in our living until we are together again. In our accustomed tradition, we close our service by forming a large circle, and if you are comfortable, you can hold hands.